Dear listeners, do you have an exam approaching or a new skill to learn but don't know how to begin? Well, gather round, because I'm about to tell you a story of the legendary witch Samara. Long ago, Samara and her friend Toby competed to lead the Witches and Warlocks Guild. One final task would determine who would become the next leader. They were to brew the legendary Moonlight Potion, notorious for its complexity. They had until the next full moon to perfect it. Toby was confident in his abilities, but Samara was nervous. She reread the potion instructions so many times, but was still not confident. However, she had heard of the great sage, who held astounding wisdom. Embarking on a journey to find him, Samara successfully summoned him and received the ultimate wisdom, a technique that could help her learn the potion. This technique was called distributed practice. What is distributed practice, you may ask? Why is it important? Distributed practice is helpful for the long-term retention of a skill or information. This effortful strategy, also known as the spacing effect, involves spreading out your learning sessions and taking breaks in between them. Previous legendary wizards like Baddeley and Longman found this way to be effective for postmen who are required to learn a new mail delivery strategy, postcodes. The postman in the most distributed schedule, a 1-hour session per day, learned the postcodes at the fastest rate and had improved skill retention several months later, compared to longer or more frequent learning sessions. However, despite learning more efficiently, those in the distributed practice condition were the least satisfied with their schedule, as the overall duration was much longer than the other conditions. Our feelings don't determine whether we are learning effectively. It is called a desirable difficulty for a reason. Upon learning the wisdom of the sage, Samara went home to implement the technique right away. She started to practice the potion recipe for a short while each day, being diligent in keeping to her schedule. Meanwhile, Toby, still overconfident and yet to start practicing, believed revising his notes the day before the full moon would be enough. Beware! Rehearsal can make a person falsely believe they remember the content. Distributing practice over time, as Samara did, works best because it allows the brain to take breaks and reconcile the information that has been learned. The famous wizard duo, Bourne and Archer, found that longer rest periods led to more improvement in learning acquisition. Participants were asked to keep a stylus on a target with a short break between trials. Those in the longest break condition of 60 seconds showed the highest improvement in learning. Participants were then given a 10-minute break and began the experiment again, this time without any breaks between trials. Those who were originally in the 60-second break condition still had the highest level of performance, indicating a genuine learning effect. So don't feel guilty for taking breaks when practicing, as breaks can help your learning. You stand to learn more, and for longer. When the day of the full moon arrived, Toby, who had only reread his notes the night before, grabbed the wrong ingredient and made a mistake when stirring the cauldron. His potion evaporated. Samara, who had been diligently practicing by distributing her study over time, flawlessly brewed the potion and became head of the guild. But that's not all, dear listeners. Distributed practice can certainly help to retain information to pass that exam or brew that potion on the day, but to retain information long-term, distributed practice is imperative to your success. Magic Moulton and colleagues assigned surgical residents to receive skill training of a surgical procedure in either a 1-day massed practice session or 4 shorter sessions distributed over several weeks. Shortly after training, both groups performed a battery of skill tests and were similarly skilled. However, 1 month later, the distributed practice group was performing significantly better. While it might feel more desirable to mass practice at the last minute, your time is better spent planning to distribute your learning over a longer schedule. So what can we learn from the legendary witch Samara? Well, when taking a break, your brain can consolidate the information you're learning, mentally rehearsing what you have learned, and potentially without you even knowing. It is believed that distributed practice promotes more complex mental retrieval, which may explain why you're able to recall the information for longer. It is effortful, but reaps the most rewards compared to learning the same information or skills in larger chunks. It might not feel so rewarding in the learning process, but you will thank yourself for the effort and time you invested in yourself. Distributed practice isn't just for witches. You can take advantage of this and apply the principle of distributed practice when learning new skills or honing existing ones. Until next time, dear listeners, happy spooky season, and remember, start practicing now so you can have plenty of time and then take a well-earned break before practicing again.